You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 319. If you're ending 2025 heartbroken, listen to this before 2026. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, Breakup Coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, beautiful brave hearts. How is everyone doing? I am sending you so much love. I am eager to be here with you today. I wanted to take a moment and talk about the year 2025 and specifically December, the month of December in 2025. I was recently on Instagram and I am into numerology. I was actually more into it when I was house hunting, and houses carry a specific energy based off of their numerology, and you can figure out what the number of your house is by adding everything in the address. So it's like if your house starts with 304 whatever street, 4 plus 0 is 4, 4 plus 3 is 7, and so it has to be a 1 through 9. So you add them all together until you get a 1 through 9 number, and then that number carries a specific energy. And so anyways, I'm kind of into it. I feel like it's fun, and so I often get targeted by Instagram videos that are about tarot and zodiac signs and numerology, things like that. So anyways, an Instagram account popped up talking about December and the year 2025 being the year of 9, which I hadn't really thought about numerology in the form of years, but it makes total sense, right? So 5 plus 2 is 7, 7 plus 2 is 9. So 9 in numerology is all about completions, closing, ending, because 1, which comes after 9, is about new beginnings and fresh starts. So if you think about 2026, right, 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, so 1 plus 0 is 1. And so we're leaving the 9 year and entering the 1 year. And what was so fascinating is that this video specifically was talking about looking all the way back at 2026 and thinking about what kind of started there and what you're completing from that whole cycle. And this was really wild to me because 2016 was actually the year of my big breakup. And I honestly had not realized that it's been 10 years. July of 2016, so July of 2026 will be 10 years since my breakup that catapulted everything, that started this business, that started my career, my passion, and my purpose in life. And that to me is mind blowing. I've been also looking at this with some clients. I had a client recently join Get Over Your Ex, and she sent me her timeline, and it started in 2017. And I was like, this is wild. So it had me thinking, how many of you listening into this podcast have something kind of completing, whether it's patterns, behaviors, ways of being, or ways of thinking? What are you shedding and letting go of? What are you kind of complete in? What do you not want to bring into 2026 in your new beginning, your fresh start year? And for me, this energy is just exhilarating. It's the moment, right? To drop old patterns, old stories, old habits, and literally collapse your timelines to welcome in a new version of yourself, a new fresh vision into your life, new behaviors, new patterns, new ways of being and thinking. But we've got to look at what is that? What are those new things? And something I personally really struggle with is not always knowing what the new looks and feels like. Back in 2016, when I went through my big breakup, I pretty much knew what the new was. But as I've gone through and evolved and, morphed into multiple new versions of myself, I keep exceeding the bar to the point where I'm like, I don't even know what that looks like anymore. And I don't know. So that's just really interesting. But what I've realized time and time again is in the not knowing is sometimes the magic. It's the unknown. And in that unknown, things can form for you that you didn't even know existed, which I love. So what I thought might be fun for you and for me is to sit down and look at this together. I would love to look at the patterns, the behaviors, the ways of being and thinking that are coming to a closing, coming to a completing, and then begin to play into the unknown together. So I want you to grab a journal, grab a coffee or a tea, let's journal together and see what comes through. Let's start with the completion phase. What is completing? So the first thing I want you to do in your journal is say, I want you to write at the top of your page, what am I complete with? And then I want you to just do a brain dump of everything that comes up. I don't want you to filter anything. Just start. And even if it comes up blank at first, like just get the first thing out and let it flow. Write it all down. Because here's what I know to be true. We cannot welcome in the new until we acknowledge what is completing. You can't step into 2026 dragging in 2016's patterns with you. So take about 5 minutes. You can pause this podcast and just write it all out, get it all out. Now, after that, the second thing I want you to do is look at the unknown. What is possible? Now, this is where I believe it gets kind of fun and maybe a little uncomfortable for some because I'm not going to ask you to write down exactly what you want in 2026. Instead, I want you to write in the unknown, I'm actually available for ... In the unknown, I'm available for ... It's not going to be like, I want this specific thing, but I'm available for, because the unknown isn't about controlling every outcome. It's about being open to possibilities you haven't even imagined yet. So you're going to write in the unknown, I'm available for ... And maybe it's, I'm available for a version of myself I didn't recognize yet. I'm available for opportunities that feel too good to be true. A life so interesting that thinking about my ex feels boring. Someone who chooses me without me having to convince them. Being surprised by my own strength. Could be a number of things. Now, the beauty of the unknown is that you don't have to have it all figured out yet. You just have to be available. You just have to be open. You get to be willing to let something form that you didn't even know was possible. And lastly, number 3, the third thing I want you to do is look at who you're becoming. This is the last piece, and this is where it all kind of comes together. I want you to write, the woman stepping into 2026 is someone who ... And I want you to describe her and get kind of clear about who she is. And we aren't going to focus on what she has or what she's accomplished, but who is she? And perhaps it's something like, the woman stepping into 2026 is someone who doesn't need her ex's approval to feel worthy. Or the woman stepping into 2026 is someone who shows up fully even when she's scared. Because Bravehearts, you're not just getting over an ex, you're becoming someone who didn't actually even need them in the first place. You're becoming someone who can build the life you wanted with them, without them. Actually, I have a side note for that one because there is this Instagram trend going around and it talks about like in your 20s or in your 30s, this event takes place and then you fill out the rest and you say, it's very important that you ... And I created one and it was like, in your 20s, you will go through a rock bottom breakup that completely destroys everything, that makes you feel like you lost it all. It is very important that you continue to build the life that you thought you wanted with them, without them. And it was very meaningful to me, honestly, because it was a B-roll footage. It was a video of me walking with baby Teddy on the sand on the beach, living in the place that I thought I could only live in with him. And it's just like, I really truly did create the life that I thought I wanted with him, without him. And the power in that, knowing that I can do that, leaves me feeling very confident about my ability to overcome any kind of heartbreak, which feels good because then I'm not constantly scared of getting my heart broken or the other shoe dropping or, worrying about catastrophe, if that makes sense. Total side note. Okay. But you're becoming someone who looks back maybe at this breakup and thinks that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I think that's what completing really looks like. That's what the year of 9 is offering you. That's what's possible when you stop trying to control the unknown and start getting available to it. So here's what I want you to do with this. So I want you to keep this journal entry. I want you to tuck it away. And on December 31st, 2025, right before we roll into 2026, your year of new beginnings, I want you to pull it back out. And I want you to read what you wrote about who you're becoming. And if you do this work, if you show up, if you let the old patterns complete and you make yourself available to the unknown, I want you to read that description that you wrote down and realize how that's already you, how you already are that person now. All right. I love you so much, my brave hearts. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next time. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.